crossroads. We got insurmountable debt almost as it is, $12 trillion and counting. There comes a point when tax cuts is not going to be the solution. But at this stage of the game, there's still an opportunity to do that. It's going to take some tough choices and a lot of cuts. But in order to get business back up and running, we do need to incentivize growth, and that's one of the best ways to do it.
I'm in favor of tax cuts. Matter of fact, I'm in favor of eliminating the thousands of pages of IRS code and the federal income tax altogether. It is really unfair. Close to half of the families in this country don't pay any income tax. I am in favor of a national sales tax after we remove the federal income tax. I would also allow exclusions in sales tax for medicine and food and other staples like that. But we need to get economy moving here, and less tax is one sure way to help it.
That's our answer, is tax cuts. Look at what Ronald Reagan did after the Jimmy Carter debacle. He lowered taxes, and it didn't happen overnight. But what did happen in a couple years was an incredible amount of growth in America, and the coffers were stuffed full, and we had a Congress that was not disciplined. They created more agencies, more government jobs. This is how we're going to take care of America, is we're going to tax cuts, downsize America, and get rid of the entitlements that are creating this mass movement of people across our borders to come here for all the freebies. This is how we're going to get back America. We take care of America first, and we get our industries running by deregulating them and giving them tax cuts and giving incentives to risk and create and to grow, create jobs.
Well, a lot of our politicians will try to hide behind this thing, and they'll say, well, I never voted for a tax cut. But if you don't vote to continue the tax cuts, then you're voting for a tax increase. But they'll hide behind that. No, we need permanent tax cuts. Even Jack Kennedy knew that if you want to get the economy going again, you have to reduce taxes, and you have to reduce the tax burden. 65% of all jobs created in America in the last 15 years have been created by who? Small businesses. Not the AT&Ts or the Fords of the world. Small businesses. And you can't expect small businesses to create more jobs if you continue to tax them and tax them and tax them. And so we absolutely need permanent tax relief, a simpler tax system, so that businesses can focus on getting our citizens back to work. That's the answer, getting people back to work.
Last I checked in the Congressional Budget Office documents, we have a $1.4 trillion deficit coming into this next year. Taxes and don't take in more money, that just means increased deficits, increased borrowing, and a quicker pathway to bankruptcy. We don't need to focus on cutting taxes at the moment. We need to focus on reforming taxes so that they are fair. The current tax bill is hundreds and thousands of pages, and it's only the top 2 that tell you what your tax rates are for your income bracket. The rest is all special interest loopholes, so that very few corporations and very few people actually pay any taxes. We need to go to a flat 10% income tax as a stepping stone to permanent tax reform to eliminate special interest influence in Washington, D.C.
Well, not only do I believe in tax cuts, it's part of my plan, 10-3 lean, rolling back taxes 10% and spending, because we need to do them both if we're going to achieve the objective. And in 2.5 years, we will balance the budget with this simple, straightforward plan. I'm also a proponent of the fair tax, which is a simple consumption tax. It eliminates all other taxes. It would be easy to manage. We have all the mechanisms in place to make this happen. This would be the way we would unleash the creative genius of the American people and the small businesses to bring this country's economic engine roaring back.
We must have permanent tax rate cuts. And when I say permanent, I mean there's no expiration date on them. In fact, I'm also for permanent repeal of the death tax. Are you? As a medical doctor, I do not believe in the concept of taxation without respiration. The Laffer curve says that if starting at 0 tax rates, as you increase the tax rates, tax revenues go up, but you hit a peak, and then as the rates get higher and higher, tax revenues fall because you're throttling the economy. And that's what we're doing now. Our tax rates are so high, we're throttling the economy and losing jobs. So to get the jobs back, we need to cut the tax rates, just like Kemp Roth in the 1980s, signed by President Reagan. We had the huge economic boom that followed because it stimulated business. That's what we need now.
Now to Skip Mercer for 45 seconds. Are you willing to cut federal jobs in the same proportion as current unemployment rates in the private sector?
That would only be 10%, and I would be willing to cut federal jobs way beyond that. It's my estimation that one could hit 30 to 35% very easily and not affect in any way this country in a negative aspect. We've been throwing around trillions of dollars here in our comments, and I just want to challenge you to try to appreciate what $1 trillion is. Our national debt is $12.5 trillion. If someone had deposited in a bank $1 million from the time Jesus was walking on this earth every single day until now, you would cover 6% of our national debt. It would take another 32,000 years putting $1 million in the bank every single day to come up with $12.5 trillion. That's our national debt.
I'm all for getting rid of government jobs. You see, as a free enterprise person, I realize that a government job isn't really a job because it's solely dependent on us taxpayers to not only pay their salary, but their health benefits and their retirement. And government jobs are most oftenly getting 90% of their wage until they die. This is what's bankrupt in California. This is the only way we're going to get out of this, is we got to make government, like our founding father said, a limited in size and scope. We got to be bold and aggressive when we get back there in 2012, after we just slow down government in 2010, because Barack Obama still got the pin.
Well, I've got to tell you, there's a lot of folks that work for the government that are very dedicated, hardworking people. I think everybody in this audience knows somebody like that. Whether they work at the VA or they work for the City Parks Department, whether they're a teacher. So, I'm not going to stand up here and bash government employees. We need government employees to carry out the services that we all want. But the fact of the matter is government is inefficient. And those services can be provided with fewer employees and with greater efficiency. And when you look at the chart of the job loss in Washington State alone, almost 37% of our job losses come from the building industry, another 17% in the service industry. And you get down to state government, and you look at the number of government employees, it's 0.7. So no, government has to share the burden. When we're in a recession, we need to all be in a recession. Okay, not just the private sector. And so absolutely we have to reduce the number of jobs that government pays for. There's no question about it.
I certainly agree with the question. And, I need to remind you, during our late 2008, 2009 fiscal crisis, what was Congress's response? They raised their own spending on their own staffs by almost 10%. And leaders across the world took pay cuts in their companies and in their countries. Did that happen in America? No. We are not leading by example. And unemployment's only part of the picture. I know that a lot of you probably in this room have seen your pay go down over the last 6 years. In fact, government analysts have told us that this year was the first year that average American pay has gone down, I believe, in 60 years. We face a tremendous crisis, and government must share that burden of lowering spending.
A rational leader doesn't just go out and start swinging and cutting things left and right. That's why the plan that I'm espousing, the 10-3 lean plan, will cut back government by 10%.